Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Better Leader Podcast, episode number 23, also the last episode for 2025. And what we're going to be doing today is looking ahead towards 2026 and winning the first 90 days of 2026, winning the first 3 months of the new year. And so within 90 days, man, how you can set the trajectory for the rest of the year. And so why 90 days? Well, when we look at research, and there's loads of research on this topic, one study in particular coming out of London found that anywhere between 18 and 250 days is what it takes to really solidify a habit. And so 250 being the extreme end, 18 being the very low end, but really anywhere from about 66 days, 2 months to 3 months is when we really begin to see, for most habits, most behaviors, most goals, or most behaviors that lead to reaching a goal really begin to solidify. So my thought is as we enter into the new year, here's what often happens at New Year's resolution time is people are like, man, I've never ran before, but I'm going to actually go and run a marathon for the first time. Or I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Or, they go from I don't work out at all to I'm going to work out 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I use those as examples in the fitness realm, but I think they paint a clear picture that sometimes what we do in the new year is like, I've got these goals, this list, I'm going to achieve all of this, and we treat it as a sprint. When you get into July, August, September, October, this is where it becomes a marathon, not a sprint. And so what we want to do is we want to have success over the entire year. And so I believe what we need to do, and I'm speaking to myself as well, is we need to simplify and have some key focus areas and understand that, man, if I can set a good base foundation in the first 90 days, I'm probably going to be more successful in the later 3/4 of the year. Now, I want to say what motivated me to do this episode or to start to think through this. As I reflected back on 2025, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I was pretty sloppy. I didn't write down my goals. I didn't have some things that I had, maybe in January, I wrote down what I want to achieve, what do I want to do, but I didn't focus on it throughout the year. And I think because of that, I got a little sloppy as the year went on. I wasn't ineffective. I didn't, I don't think like I achieved, an insignificant amount, but I don't think I was as effective or achieved maybe what I could have if I would have been more disciplined on the front end in setting goals and then laying down a strategy to achieve those goals. And I do think it's important to note that what I'm going to be talking about today, specifically when I share about some of my goals for 2026, is they're a little bit more habit-based. And so I know that habits and goals are different things, but they're very intertwined. Some, goals are very behavior-based. Some goals are more numerical-based, and there's more of a value, and I either did reach it or I didn't reach it. And so I'm going to kind of treat those synonymously today. And here's what I know about you. You're smart. You can figure it out. And I think you know what you want to do in this new year. And so whether it's a habit, a goal, I think it's important that we focus on these things. So let's talk about it. How can you dominate the first 90 days of the new year of 2026? How can you win those first 90 days? Well, I think we got to identify. I would say that there's primary goals. And then there are goals that are, I don't want to say secondary, that would be the wrong word. I would say they are like sub goals. So we have primary goals and then we have sub goals. I think what would be really important for you to do and what I'm trying to do in this new year is I'm going to set 2 primary goals for myself. I'm going to set 2 goals that it's like, if I look back at the end of the next year, if I achieve these 2 goals, I know that they are going to impact multiple areas of my life. And these are like my priorities. So I have 2 priorities for me, 2 primary goals, and both of them are more habit-based and more behavioral in nature. But my first goal is this, is I want to stop scrolling social media. I want to remove that. It's not been a beneficial thing for my life. I look at how much time I waste on that. It's not a healthy behavior that I have, and it's really going to be a stretch for me because I enjoy social media. I enjoy consuming content in that way, but it's definitely not always healthy and beneficial for me. So I want to remove that. So I'm taking something away. And then what do I want to add? This is my second primary goal. For me, as a father, one of the things that's most important to me is my spiritual investment in my kids and in my family, and also as a husband. As I look at my routines, my habits, my rhythms, I'm not where I want to be in terms of how I'm leading my family spiritually. So I want to set better rhythms and a better system in how I will disciple my kids, aka how I will train them up in the ways of Scripture, right? I want to do a better job, have a better system in place. And system is a word that can kind of be scary, if we're being honest, and maybe doesn't sound like the most relational, but I need to have an organized approach to doing this, or I'm not going to do it. So I want to increase the amount of devotionals I'm doing with my kids. I want to increase the amount of time I'm spending with my kids in prayer. I want to increase the amount of time I'm teaching them about the Bible. We've done a good job in our family of this being pretty organic, but I know that as my kids get older, I really want to dial in a healthy approach for my family. So I would say with your primary goals is I'm taking something away and I'm also adding something. I do think it's challenging. Maybe your goal is, hey, I want to read 30 minutes a day, and I also want to train to run a marathon. It's like if you're doing both of those things, those are both additions of time to your schedule. That might be really challenging. So I would encourage you to take a look at like kind of a give and take aspect. But I know if I do those two primary goals in the new year, it's going to totally impact and trickle down and affect some of my sub goals. Now, what is a sub goal? I would say a sub goal is something that you're already maybe knocking on the door and being close to achieving this, but it's important to you. It might not be that primary thing. It might not have as great as an impact of a primary goal, but it's something that maybe you're already on the road to doing that. Maybe you already have done a good job of cleaning up the way that you eat, and now you're looking to remove soda or coffee or an amount of caffeine from your diet, right? It's in addition to something you're already doing well. Or maybe it's a stretch thing. It's something that's completely new to you. You're looking to learn a new skill entirely. You're not sure exactly what that's going to look like, but it's something that interests you. It's maybe has a level of excitement. It's like if I do accomplish this, it would be really cool, but I'm not as focused on this as the primary goal. So set two primary goals. And then I would say you could have anywhere from 3, 4 to 5 sub goals that you're like, man, if this was true in my life this year, that would lead to some really positive things. So what I'm going through, I mentioned my primary goals, and I'm going to develop some sub goals as well so that I can have a well-rounded approach entering into the new year. So set some primary goals and then put some sub goals down as well, 3 to 5 sub goals. And now how are you going to be successful in this? Because this is probably something you've already done before. What I'm explaining is not some sort of leadership breakthrough. This is what people will tell you to do. There's many different books, resources on it. And most of you, if you're listening to this, you probably have done something like this before. But if we're going to have success, I think there's some key steps we need to take, because I know I need to take them, or I'm probably not going to follow through with really winning those first 90 days of the year. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write it down. Last year, I did not write down my goals except one time. So I wrote them down, didn't print them out, didn't have them visible, didn't have them where I could see them. And so because of that, it wasn't on the forefront of my mind. Life gets busy. You get caught up in the whirlwind of the day-to-day, and you're going to forget about these things. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write it down. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to print it out, and I'm going to place it somewhere where it is visible. And then the third thing that I'm going to do is I've already told you all about my goals, but I want to share that with some of the people that are closest with me, because as I share it, it's going to help to hold me accountable to what I'm doing or what I'm trying to accomplish. And here's the deal. If you share with other people and you're moving in a similar direction as others, you know their goals and you know your goals. Together you can work on that. But also there's power. You know, you look at books like Atomic Habits. James Clear talks about the power of stating what it is you are going to do publicly. It's going to help to hold you accountable. And then the fourth thing that I'm going to do, because it's a marathon and not a sprint, is I'm actually going to set a reminder in my phone 3 months from January 1, 90 days from January 1, and I'm going to do a check-in. And I'm going to see, where am I at? How have I been succeeding? How have I maybe fallen short? And I'm going to check in on the progress that I'm actually making. So if you look at that, that's basically like a quarterly check-in throughout the year to make sure, man, how am I progressing and how am I going? I mean, we think about this. If you run a business or you're part of an organization and you have a budget, you don't just set the budget at the beginning of the year, at least I hope not, and then never look at it. You're checking in, you're paying attention to where am I at? Where is the spending happening? Where am I a little low? Where do I have some wiggle room? You're checking in on your budget. You're checking in on your finances personally throughout the year. In the same way, I want to check in on how are the habits and goals going? How is my behavior aligning with what I want to accomplish? And so I'm going to set a reminder in my phone 90 days from the 1st of January to check in some point throughout that week, either before or after that. I'm going to take a look and evaluate how am I doing in these areas. And here's the deal. I really think with intentionality, for me, with a spiritual approach to this, praying through and looking at, God, what do you want to accomplish in me over this next year? What do you want to see me do? What are those things that you want to see in my life? Honestly, I can't even have this conversation without looking at, it's only through prayer and through seeking God, you're going to really find what are those things that are going to be most effective for you. I don't want to set goals and these behavior, changes that I want to make or habits. I don't want to do that outside of really seeking God's wisdom and his guidance on what that needs to be. But I want to have that impact. I want to have that growth. I want to be able to, at the end of the new year, and this is what I want for you as well, as you look back and be like, wow, I can't believe I actually did that. And here's how my life is better because of that. But not only here is how my life is better, here's how I've impacted the people in my circle. Here's how I've impacted the world for the better because I was more disciplined. I wrote things down and I took a disciplined, organized approach into the new year. And so that's what I want for myself. That's what I want for you all as well, because I know that God has a lot in store for us in this next year, and I want to lean into that. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Better Leader Podcast. We'll catch you all in 2026.